Good morning, everyone. Myself, Vivek Bongale, Assistant Professor, Department of ISC, Sai Institute of Technology, Rajankunte, Bangalore. In previous classes, in previous videos, we have seen many concepts on our introduction database and the actors on the scene. This concept we have seen in the last class. Today, we are going to see the advantages of using the database approach. The advantages of using the database approaches. These are some of the advantages of using database DBMS approaches. First is controlling the latency. The main motto of using the database management system is to reduce the redundancy. Redundancy in the sense, if we have a multiple values, we have same repeated values in the table. We want to remove those values. Okay, the whatever the values we are going to store in the database, it is a redundant. It is redundant information. Means no multiple values, the same values we are not going to repeat in the DBMS. If we try to add the values, the same values, so some sort of operations we're going to perform the DBMS, so that redundancy will be not there. That is in traditional software development utilizing that in previous manual process or file processing, there redundancy will be there. When it comes to DBMS, redundancy will be not there. So main advantage of using the database is to reducing the redundancy. So with the help of DBMS, we can control the redundancy. Second one is the restricting unauthorized access. Restricting unauthorized access. For example, if you have a whole college database, so all of persons, all the employees who are working in this college doesn't have the same privilege to use the database. So the database administrator, he is going to give the privilege. For few persons will have only the read. Only he can view the data, what is there in the database. And some persons can edit, some persons can modify the data from the database. Those permissions will be given by the database administrator. So we've seen in actors on the screen. So data administrator, he is the one who is going to control the whole database. He is the one who is going to control the database. He will provide the privileges to the user. He will give the credential like login, user login, password, each and everything will be given by the database administrator. So if while using the database management system, we need to, it's going to helpful for the users or to the database administrator who can have a control over the database, who are all using the database in what manner. All those things we can manage by the use of DBMS application. So one of the example is financial data. Financial data is often we consider it as it is very confidential. So only the authorized person can able to allow to access such type of data. Next is providing persistent storage for program objects. Providing persistent storage in the sense the main use of using the database approach is that persistent storage for program object. So we are going to store the data at different manner. So in different ways we're going to store the data. When in the database, actually the data is going to be stored at two places. One is a metadata, other is the stored database. So if the data is deleted from the stored database, we can easily access the data from the metadata. But if the data is deleted from both metadata and the stored database, it is impossible to, it is very difficult to retrieve, recover that data back. That is what in DBMS we have a two storage medium where we can store the data. If data is removed from one storage medium, from other storage medium we can able to retrieve that data. Providing storage structure for efficient query processing. So for in DBMS actually there will be a sufficient storage to store the data. If we are applying some of the query on the database to retrieve the data from the storage, so the query can easily or efficiently can able to retrieve the data which is there in the structure. So next is providing backup and recovery. As I said, in database management system there are two storage medium. One is metadata, or this data is a catalog. Other one is store database. Once the data is stored in the two storage medium, we can easily recover that data if the data is lost. That is the one advantages of using DBMS approach. Providing multiple user interface. Providing multiple user interface means if the same database can be used by multiple user at the same time. A number of users can access the same database. They can perform a different query. You can perform different operation on the same database. So that the database or DBMS will allow the user to perform multiple operations, multiple tasks on the DBMS. That is what providing multi-user interface, representing complex relationship among data, or representing complex relationship among data. Nothing but if a data is going to store in the database, the data is going to store in the database. A database may be include numerous variety of data that are interrelated in many ways. Okay, we are storing the data in the database, right? So the data, it may be a different types. For example, if we are creating a company database or college database, faculty is the one relation. It is having a different data, and non-technical staff is having different data. So there is a relationship between the data. So that can be able to provide a variety of complexity we can apply on the relationship between the tables. That is allowed in the DBMS approach. Enforcing integrity constraint. Most database applications have certain integrity constraints that must hold for the data. For example, in the DBMS only we have many constraints. One is a primary key constraint, that is key constraints we say it as key constraint, referential integrity constraint, entity integrity constraints. These are some of the constraints we can apply. We can apply on the data so that why we need to apply the constraints means if the user require operation in such a manner that so that the database should support to the user requirement. So the DBMS should provide capability of defining and enforcing these constraints. So we are applying primary key on the data, so the database will have that support so that we can apply a primary key to the data. That is what enforcing integrity constraint. That is the last one is permitting inference and actions using rules. Some database system provide capability for defining deduction rules for inferencing new information from the stored database facts. The system are called deductive database system. Means we have some concept called in the database like triggers, and then we have called stored procedures. With the help of these things, we can easily apply more operations on the database. Triggers is basically used, for example, consider in the college only a new employee, the new faculty has been added. So one welcome mail should be sent to that new faculty. So if, for example, 100 faculties have joined at a time to the college, so the administrator can't send a mail to the 100 people by typing, welcome to college, right? So if we apply trigger to that, for the database, new data is added, the DBMS only trigger that action. The database should send that mail to the new added data to the database. That is what a permitting inference and actions using rules. These are some of the advantages of using the DBMS approach. Thanks for watching.